Every time I see this picture, it's a clear reason why I should have started the process way, way earlier. And so this picture is taken the summer going into my junior year. It's the mark where I really started to take the recruiting process very seriously. And this went extremely well for me. I wasn't a 4 or 5 star, 3 star recruit. And I only had JV film up to this point. Yet I came to this camp and was able to get noticed by the coaching staff. They had actually seen my JV film and really liked it. Something that a lot of people will tell you, oh, don't start the recruiting process until you have varsity film. It's something I just don't 100% believe because for me, that wasn't the case. I could have started way ahead of time without having any varsity film and would have been able to get ahead of the process, not only just with the coaching staff, but just really within my own knowledge. And it's one of the biggest mistakes that didn't allow me to have an even more successful recruiting process than I already did. Um, and so if you don't know who I am, I'm Trent Loera. I'm a former college quarterback. I run your first scholarship, but we helped over 100 families get college football scholarships, earn a lot of scholarship money, and it's been a blast. As well as I did it myself, as you can see in this picture, where I wasn't a stud. I didn't even really start most of the time in high school, only started a couple of games, yet still was able to earn over $500,000 in scholarship money just for myself. So if I can do this, you can too. And one of the biggest things that you can do to help yourself is if you're a parent or kid that is starting early in the process right now, you're in a freshman, a sophomore, even if you're in eighth grade, it makes sense to start learning this process, start doing little actions ahead of time. So that way you can get an even more significant return later on. And it's something called the J curve effect. You can really apply it to any kind of activity at all. And so I like to relate this back to recruiting because this is what this is all about. But it's the idea that when you start, it is going to be hard at first. But then as you have enough time under your belt, it gets easier. You have more established knowledge, foundation, and then you're just able to build off of it a lot easier. And so in recruiting, this is very much the case. And I see it, there's three different things that you can build a foundation off of that makes it a lot easier as you go. And so this is going to be knowledge. This is going to be knowledge about the recruiting process, learning how the ins and outs work. This is a big thing because a lot of families, don't start the process until their junior, senior year. And then number one, they don't even know how the process works in the first place. And so it's like you're trying to figure out how it works while also doing things on top of that. And that's not a good combination of things. It's a lot easier to learn about it earlier on, and then you can execute that however it may be as soon as possible. Number two is relationships. Recruiting is all about relationships. The more coaches that know about you, the more coaches are able to relate to you, and the more that you've had conversations with coaches, the more that's going to help earlier on. And that's only going to progress over time as they get to learn more about you and you have more time to build that relationship. That's only going to help. If you're starting as a senior or a junior, building those relationships, you only have so much time until it's time to make a decision or they're going to pull a trigger on somebody else that probably they had a relationship longer than they did with you. And the third one is brand. And this is not this fancy brand like a fast food chain or a big Fortune 500 company. It's just the brand of knowing about you, knowing who you are, and knowing that you're a good player. Because really, a brand is an association of things. For example, in McDonald's, we associate with fast food, generally unhealthy, Big Mac, stuff like that. You want to associate with yourself, not with those things, but with that, you're fast, you're a good player, you're hardworking, all that stuff. And this gives you more time to establish that kind of brand. And so for example, most families are going to start at this kind of mark. They're going to start early on in the process, uh, probably junior year, I'd say is probably on average, most families are going to start junior, maybe going into their senior year. The issue is you have all this time here that basically not a lot's going on. You're starting to build relationships. You're starting to learn the process a little bit more. You're starting to establish your brand. And then eventually you get to this point where you J curve up. And that's why you see most families, have some success more so later on in their senior season with the recruiting process. If they have success at all, sometimes they start too late and way too behind. They don't get to the J curve part. The whole point that you want to start this earlier on, ideally freshman, sophomore year, with at least learning the process and establishing this brand and building some relationships is because you get to go through this process a lot faster. You get to hit that curve up way earlier on rather than having to have that go on so much faster and having to wait in such a more stressful time. And so, to kind of paint a picture to this, I actually had a very interesting conversation with one of our families yesterday. His name's CJ. He's been working with us for probably a good over a year and a half now. He started when he was a sophomore. He was in his sophomore season, and he took the recruiting process extremely seriously. And he's in probably a 0.01% case of recruits that I've seen. And we were talking, and he was like, I don't know if we should go to camps. And, he's from Hawaii. So going to camps in the US is extremely time consuming, money consuming, and just overall taxing. And his family was asking, hey, should we go to camps? Is it even worth it to go to camps? Because their situation is that they have three schools that they really like right now. And those schools are pretty much going to offer. Like we very well know that at this point. Um, and he's not just talking to those three schools. He's got tens of other schools that he's talking to that he generally likes. And if those three schools don't pan out, he'll have other schools. And I told him, hey, look, in most cases, I'll tell, and you know this. I told CJ, hey, you know me, that I am one to say, hey, you should go to camps, but also you should never go to camps with just no purpose. And so you shouldn't go to camps just to go to camps. There's no reason in that. And so I told him, hey, like, really, you don't need to go to any camps this summer. Like, you can collect enough interest just with the recruiting activities that you're already doing. You have an established brand, you have tons of established relationships, and you know how the process works. You have the knowledge piece. And so it just becomes easier at that point where you can put in like pretty minimal action and you're going to get interest, you're going to get offers, you're going to get, all these offers. And he's not a Division I guy, but he's going to get some really amazing lower level school offers. I mean, we're talking, he probably will end up with surpassing my number somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million in total scholarship money that he's going to receive in the next couple months. And I said, like, that's just because you've done so much work ahead of time and you invested your time and resources and the knowledge and the relationships and the brand early on. That's like, you can just reap that reward. Like, this is what we want. Like, this is the awesome outcome. It's April, going into your senior season, and you're like, you know what? I actually feel pretty good about things, and I don't have to go to a ton of camps. I actually don't have to go to any camps at all, and I can just focus on making sure my senior season is really good and figure out like which school I want to go to ultimately. And that's the place that you want to be. You don't want to be in this super stressful spot where it's coming up to your last game of your senior season and you still don't have any offers, or you're barely talking to any schools and you feel like you're going to have no offers. You want to have that confidence, and not have to rely on potentially getting more film. Of course, you can be placed in that position. There's never a 100% chance, but the earlier you start, the more likely you are to succeed. It's just as simple as that. Every single day, offers are going out, spots are being taken, boards are being filled up, and it just becomes harder to break that mold. And the earlier you can establish yourself, the better it's going to be. So, hopefully, if you're a parent of a freshman, a sophomore, you're listening to this and you realize, hey, this is the time to start really putting some time into this. I always recommend that, like, if you don't have varsity film, of course, your process isn't going to absolutely blow up, but you can do little things to at least put yourself in the right position. And I think that's extremely important. And it goes extremely overlooked because everybody just says, oh, it's a complete waste of time if you don't have varsity film. That's just not the case. It wasn't the case for me. And it's not the case for any families. You can do things to at least increase the likelihood of success, because when we're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line and your child's future, as well as just how competitive it is when you talk about only 2.7% of high school athletes get a college football scholarship. It's going to take a lot of effort to not be one of those 97+%. And so the earlier you can start, the earlier you can get things going, the better it's going to be. So hopefully you got a ton of value from this. If you are looking to work with someone, if you're looking to, get the knowledge, get the relationships, get the brand established with one-on-one help, it's what we do over at Your First Scholarship. A big part of it is learning to market yourself, learning to sell yourself through relationships, and ultimately give you all the tools in the playbook to just make this as simple as possible, like we did for CJ, because he's just a great testament to how simple the system can be, as well as how powerful it can be, and just relieving all that stress and frustration as early as possible, and just getting you guys to that desired outcome of getting a scholarship to a school that you actually want to go to. So if that's something you're interested in, you can click the link in the description below. It'll take you to our website where you can book a call and learn more about what we do. Essentially, quick breakdown is that a full system that handles a lot of the outreach for you in terms of reaching out to coaches, saves you hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of just typing in emails, looking at coaches' addresses, all that good stuff. We're able to do probably more than you would be able to on a weekly basis, as well as you get full one-on-one access to me and the rest of my team. We host weekly calls where you can hop on, ask questions, as well as we do monthly one-on-ones to make sure things are going well, and answer any questions and give you full coaching on what's going on currently in your situation. And then lastly, we give you a personalized playbook on what to do step by step, day by day, so you know exactly what to do to get to that goal of success. It's actually all wrapped under a full guarantee that if you don't get a scholarship you want, then we'll give you a full refund. So it's pretty much increases your likelihood of 100% that you'll get to that dream outcome. So super excited to hopefully talk to you. Hopefully I'll see you inside. Regardless, wishing you the best of luck, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.